Overkill is an interesting quote-unquote independent developer based in Sweden, formerly known as GRIN Software, who had developed the Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter series. Reforming into Overkill after going bankrupt, they were picked up by Sony Online Entertainment, and that's where everything started. They're owned by Starbreeze Studios, collaborate with Lion Game Lion, and their content is published by 505 Games. Their story is quite interesting, and, well, that's a massive understatement. Their latest game, Payday 2, is quite the success story, making back its development budget entirely from pre-orders and garnering a once massive player base for what many considered a promising, unique title about people in ridiculous masks robbing banks with a formidable arsenal of weapons and skills. But it's not that simple. From spouting lie after lie to their customers and insulting them to selling shovelware that would never, and should never, make it past any sort of quality control, Overkill has made themselves a horrible new reputation. Gone is the love and respect they earned from what they did early on. They only want to listen to what they want to hear, consumer be damned. This video is meant to catalog as much information as possible about what Overkill has done. This won't cover everything, and you're free to let us know what we missed. Finding everything for the video would have taken weeks of work and would have made this video like an hour long. So, prepare your butts, cause they're gonna be hurting by the end of this one. Payday 2 was a multi-platform release on Windows, Xbox 360, and PS3, but really was only on Windows. The consoles received shoddy, underdeveloped ports that were effectively beta versions of the game. For months and months and months, the community asked, pleaded, and begged to Overkill to update the game they spent their hard-earned money on. And for those many months, Overkill basically procrastinated. Trying to use an excuse that updating the game on the Xbox resulted in a hefty fine, all while touting their glory and brilliance as an independent developer, crossing over and doing deals with all sorts of different companies. Too bad that was abolished years ago. Oops. It doesn't help that apparently this is what their dev team thought about our consoles. If a game I really love isn't working on consoles, I'd switch to other platforms and fucking play it there. Really? Just really? Quite some time later, and Overkill finally came out with the announcement that they're releasing the game on the Xbone and PS4. With this, you would think, hey, maybe this means Overkill finally cares about half their player base. Well, possibly. Maybe there's some hope. Maybe the console peasants will be able to enjoy the game more Oh. Well, never mind. Here, as soon as possible is a really weird way to say, honestly, probably never. 6 months? Yeah, that's familiar. Oh. But what can I say? After all, as you're probably aware, we at Overkill take our job seriously. In the year 2015, words apparently mean whatever we want them to now. It's wonderful. Criticism now means harassment. Omnivorism now means rape. What? What the fuck? And independent game development now means developing under a publisher and parent company. Oh, wait. Except, that's not how words work. But in the mind of Overkill Software, apparently that's the case. For about a year now, Overkill has touted its status as an independent developer, while never having been one in the first place. Not as Overkill, and not as GRIN. So why does Overkill keep pushing the narrative that they're independent now, in spite of so much evidence to the contrary? These are all Almir's own posts, as well as PR from other guys, that are directly contradicting the narrative. Yet it still keeps getting pushed, as if it's word of God. Overkill is the farthest from independent, and they should not be saying that they are, even if they think they are in spirit or in ideology. It shouldn't be used as a shield to defend themselves from criticism. Payday 2 is everything but its own universe. Payday has always been advertising Alienware. Alienware is a subsidiary of Dell, developing mostly gaming hardware like laptops, most notably, and the strangely named Alienware Alpha, a PC disguised as a console. Payday has advertised not just the Alpha, but Alienware's computers as a whole, through supporting Alienware's LightFX technology, and is one of the only games we know of that support this natively. Interestingly, Dell's the same company whose executive had this lovely tweet to share with the world. Huh. Skipping past that controversial subject, it's all about ethics. Payday 2 has also advertised the movie John Wick, a 2014 live-action thriller about Keanu Reeves getting bloody revenge over a stolen car and a dead puppy, and is now trying to force the two universes to merge together through a VR game and through pushing the character into as much of their marketing as possible. The reaction might not have been as intense if it weren't for how they announced it. And the 1.5 million secret reward is John Wick. The original Crime Fest was an event centered around getting as many new members into the Payday 2 official Steam group as possible, in exchange for free content that might have otherwise been paid, such as the Hoxton Breakout heist. This was the 1.5 million member reward, gained illegitimately, mind you. Most of the members today are now bots and fake accounts, and I'll let that slide for whatever reason. The community worked together to get what they didn't know was just an advertisement for an action movie completely unrelated to the game outside some shoehorned content that most people didn't give a second thought about using. Not to mention the player model that was created of Wick, which barely looks anything like Keanu Reeves himself. Compare this to this. I don't know who that guy is either. Bleana Breeves, Overkill's original character? Mods were actually created to attempt to make the model look more authentic. There's also the Jacket character pack, a blatant inclusion of the main character of Hotline Miami into Payday 2. Keep in mind you have to buy the special edition in order to get him and most of the content he comes with. But good lord, look at his face! This was also modded to look more normal, more human. Hotline Miami was also previously advertised with its own heist, but at least it was content that actually added something to the experience. Then we arrive at Alesso, and, well, it doesn't feel like it's worth talking about anymore. And of course, how could we forget about the Walking Dead controversy? A timer that conveniently led to the birthday of the Payday series, only to lead to an announcement of a completely separate game. And all the Payday players got was a barbed wire covered baseball bat. Take a look at this here. Yeah, that's nice of them, isn't it? So here's a bit of context before we continue. For those that don't know, Crime Fest is an annual event taking place over the course of about 10 days, give or take. This year, it involves completing a set of challenges given to the player base. Think Battlefield 4 when it had its community collect 10 million dog tags. Some of these challenges seem innocent and possible enough. 1 million kills with a shitty melee weapon in a game with a shitty melee system. Yeah, that's fine. 2 million kills of a common enough special enemy? Fair. 100,000 completions of the Meltdown heist. Alright. 15 million kills? Whatever. Grind Fest. It's almost like they're learning. But then we get into some of the more interesting challenges. For some reason, Overkill wants the community to artificially boost their voice actors' Twitter followers. So why would they do this? Granted, aside from Pete Gold, their follower count isn't the greatest, but why would they want their community to do such a frivolous, unrelated thing just for a chance of free content that might become paid otherwise? For a possible answer, let's take a look at the hashtag movement titled Performance Matters, alternatively, I am on board 2015. The voice actors behind some of the industry's most popular video games are preparing to vote on whether they will hold a strike in protest of the current treatment of voiceover actors by producers. Performance Matters spawned on Twitter slightly less than a month ago to prepare for several panels discussing the proposition. The vote represents a final push by the union. This is the first time serious negotiation in the video game industry had been held for voice actors since the 1990s, when the policy still currently in use was first drafted. Apparently this has been making some waves as I am on board 2015 since around March of this year. So, what might this have to do with Overkill and Crime Fest? Oh, alright. That makes this make a lot more sense. Crime Fest Twitter challenges seem to be a knee-jerk reaction to Performance Matters, being somewhat of a hot topic issue at the moment. While this may very well be just conjecture, it's worth keeping this in mind when debating about this. It does seem to fit, considering the relevance of Performance Matters right now, Overkill's response to criticism about the follower challenges, and Damien's tweet. While we found no mention of Performance Matters and I am on board 2015 in Pete and Eric's Twitters, keep an eye out. Note that the Twitter-based challenges were removed September 30th, 2015. The rude comment against criticism of the challenge has not been removed from the Day 3 announcement. Such a sudden heel-face turn to once be saying basically, fuck you, you entitled shits, deal with it, only on the very same day to go, sorry, we won't do it again. Flashbangs were never a very well designed game mechanic in Payday 2 to begin with. Spawning at seemingly random with no warning before it's too late, appearing out of literally nowhere, and blinding players for a large amount of time without a crutch perk to reduce its effect. It's been discussed for a while how to improve the mechanic, most notably having the enemy AI actually, throw the flashbang. And yet, the response the community got for their suggestions and criticism was quite surprising and a bit telling about what Overkill thinks about its player base. You know what it is. No, we are not nerfing Flashbang. It is surprising. If we give you a lot of hints 5 seconds before, it will not be a surprise and lame. We tried that as well, and it's just is, to use a community favorite expression, meh. Your opinion, my choice. Flashbangs require SWAT to be close to the room it's used in. It's used when players camp or bunch up for long to a higher degree. I love when you guys make shit up and call it RNG, how the game works. Cops calling out flashbangs with indicators on. Might as well just remove them as their purpose is shock and shake up. I'll consider it for a baby difficulty. Again, a flashbang is a surprise mechanic. Why do I try? I will stop. Enjoy. It's incredible that a supposed developer of his own game is unaware of how the mechanics in his own game work. Yeah, SWAT was totally there, right? In spite of them being all the way across the other hall. I have to say, SWAT are quite effective if they can curve their throw so far it rolls from hundreds of feet away, under a giant, tightly shut security door, accessible only via key card. You could argue that Bo was drunk, as some have suggested, but, as you're probably aware, we at Overkill take our job seriously. So this is what we've come to. Overkill Software has recently introduced microtransactions into the game via its latest update. Not only have they stated originally that the game would never have microtransactions from 2 of their developers, but that everything related to Crime Fest would be released for free. These microtransactions also affect in-game balance. Every feature that is unlocked during Crime Fest is released for free to the entire community of Payday 2. We've made it clear that Payday 2 will have no microtransactions whatsoever. Shame on you if you thought otherwise. Asked if Overkill Software anticipated putting microtransactions in the game, Goldfarb bluntly stated, No, God, I hope not, never, no. False advertising is illegal under European Union law, as shown in Article 2, Section B. Overkill is based in Sweden, located in Europe. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. As a result of all this, the forums have lit ablaze. Everything has started to fall apart and so many people are just calling it quits. This announcement has also called into question if disabling Lua mods really was on purpose, as claimed here. It's quite telling when the top post of all time on the subreddit is basically telling the developers, fuck you. This controversy has finally reached the media. Destructoid, Kotaku Australia, Eurogamer, and the like have all talked about it and shamed it. It's managed to reach Kotaku in action, who previously didn't bat an eye over the developer's previous actions, Bo's in particular. It looks like tough tides for Overkill from now on. In light of this European Union law, as well as everything else they've done to falsely advertise their product, such as the number of heists at launch, as well as safe house customization, we might be seeing something in the courts. But, as you're probably aware, we at Overkill take our job seriously. But wait, can we really even blame Overkill exclusively? Think about this for a minute. This has been a trend growing for years. It started with the first gauge pack and it just kept coming, and yet the community ignored it. They even defended it at times. And they even ignored and defended it when they made Clover and the Diamond DLCs separate. They defended it when they did it again with every subsequent paid release of a character. They defended it when they exploited their audience during Hype Train. And here we are, after 2 years of build-up, and this is what they've done to the game. And people are still trying to defend it. We've seen Overkill insult us, lie to us, sell us broken shovelware after broken shovelware to us, advertise so much unrelated content to us that we don't want, and finally refuse to listen to us anymore. We haven't even talked about how outright lazy they are. What with the Gauge Assault Pack releasing with some guns missing triggers, many sights in the game being misaligned, how many bugs that have existed since the beta being unfixed for years, etc. We could have acted. We could have done something. This is as much on all of us as it is on Overkill. There's no turning back anymore. But does it really end like that? What do we do from here then? We stop supporting Overkill. We stop purchasing their broken, falsely advertised products. We spread the word about what they've done to our friends and family when they're interested. We make sure nobody invests in the enormous lie they've made. We make sure Overkill notices. We stop playing. We change that very positive score on Steam to mixed, and we tell Overkill this way that we are not their wallets. We are not willing to deal with their shovelware and disgusting business practices anymore. We've seen what we can do to band together to make a difference. We've seen what Gamergate has done to games media. We've seen them take it to the Society of Professional Journalists. We've seen websites change their ethics policies because of it. We've seen gawkers start to fall apart, losing millions, all thanks to Gamergate. So why don't we do the same? Put aside all our differences, and show Overkill just how much they've hurt their customers, whether they've played since the beta or more recently. And maybe, if there's remotely a shred of soul left in the dead, festering husk of Overkill, then we'll see something change in them for the better. We wouldn't keep our hopes up for that one, but it's nice to think that way, isn't it? We miss you, Goldfarb, you magnificent bastard.